All right, so ChatGPT 5.6 Terra and Muse Spark 1.1 are being compared everywhere right now. But what nobody's saying is that one of these models has verified scores from 9 independent sources, and the other has 0 published benchmark data. 0. Both of these dropped recently, and people are picking sides fast. So I went through 9 verified sources, no vendor spin, and ran them across 4 real tests: reasoning accuracy, creative writing, API pricing, and response latency, to actually see what holds up. And honestly, the results surprised me, because if you're paying for API calls right now and you can't find a verified price per token for one of these models, you could be flying completely blind on your monthly bill. So this one's for developers and teams actually building on top of these models. People who need to know what they're paying, how fast it runs, and whether the reasoning holds up under real workloads. Picking the wrong model is a budget problem and a workflow problem that compounds every single day you're running it. Test 1, multi-step reasoning accuracy. When a model gets this wrong, you get a confident bad answer and you don't catch it until you've already shipped something broken. And the downstream cost is real, whether it's a busted agentic pipeline or a client's deliverable that needs a full redo. I looked at every independent benchmark I could find for both models, and what I got was pretty one-sided. Muse Spark 1.1 scores 51 on the Artificial Analysis Intelligence Index, ranked 22nd out of 190 models, and 68.41% on the VALS Index, ranked 8 out of 40. ChatGPT 5.6 Terra, no data anywhere, not a single published score on any independent platform. Muse Spark 1.1 takes this 1, and I was honestly expecting at least something from Terra, even a partial score, but there's genuinely nothing to compare against. Spark sits at 8 out of 40 on VALS and 22nd out of 190 on artificial analysis, and Terra has no entry on either, so the score goes Muse Spark 1.11, ChatGPT 5.6 Terra 0. Test 2, creative writing output quality. When this goes wrong, you get outputs that technically follow instructions but feel flat, generic, or just off in a way that's hard to explain to a client, and you end up rewriting it yourself, which means you're paying for API calls and paying in time, and the whole point of using the model disappears. What surprised me here is that neither model has any sourced creative writing benchmark data at all. I was expecting at least something from one of them, but it's a genuine data gap on both sides. Muse Spark 1.1 is described as strong on multi-part instruction precision, but that's a qualitative claim with no score attached. And Terra has nothing published either. Before I call this, you should know that no source document actually positions Muse Spark 1.1 as a creative writing model. It's built for agentic and tool use tasks, so the absence of creative scores is kind of expected, and Terra has no published data on anything, so this really can't be a fair fight either way. This one's a tie, and I honestly didn't expect that to feel like the right call, but it is. Neither side has a score, and calling a winner without data would just be making stuff up, so the running tally stays at Muse Spark 1.11, ChatGPT 5.6 Terra 0, 1 test tied. Test 3, API pricing per million tokens. This is the one that sneaks up on you. You build a pipeline, it works great in testing, and then your first real production bill comes in, and it's 3 times what you budgeted because you were working off an unverified number someone posted in a forum. And that's a real thing that happens. I looked at pricing for both models across every source document I had. And Muse Spark 1.1 comes in at $1.25 per million input tokens and $4.25 per million output tokens, confirmed by 4 independent sources, including DataCamp, OpenRouter, and Artificial Analysis. ChatGPT 5.6 Terra, no verified pricing source in any of the research, not one confirmed number. Now, Terra having no verified pricing doesn't automatically mean it's more expensive. It just means you can't evaluate it right now. And Muse Spark's cash hit pricing at 15 cents per million tokens is worth flagging separately, because that 88% discount of standard input pricing only matters if your workflow actually reuses a lot of context. And not everyone will. Pricing is another tie, and that's not what I expected going in. I thought at least one number would surface for Terra, but nothing verified turned up anywhere. So even though Muse Spark has confirmed figures, you can't declare a winner when one side has no published price at all. Tally stays at Muse Spark 1.11, ChatGPT 5.6 Terra 0, 2 tests tied. Test 4, response latency under load. Slow token output in a live product shows up in churn, and if you're literally hammering a model with concurrent requests that it bobs down, your whole agentic loop slows with it, and every second of wait time is a second your users are considering switching. Okay, so what I found here was pretty interesting. Artificial analysis independently measured Muse Spark 1.1 at 122 tokens per second, putting it 39th out of 190 models, and the 190 model average is just 76 tokens S. So Spark is running about 60% faster than the typical model. ChatGPT 5.6 Terra has no published throughput figure anywhere, which makes a real comparison impossible. One thing worth keeping in mind: Val's AI also reports a 388-second round trip for Muse Spark on their full benchmark suite. And that sounds slow, but it's measuring total agentic task completion time, not raw token generation speed. Those are totally different things, so you want to take it with a grain of salt and not mix them up when you're comparing to other models. Muse Spark 1.1 gets this one too, and I'll be honest, I was expecting Terra to at least have some latency data floating around, but there's nothing sourced anywhere. Spark's 122 tokos is a real independently measured number, and that's the only real number on the board. So the final count is Muse Spark 1.12, ChatGPT 5.6, Terra 0, 2 tests tied. So where does ChatGPT 5.6 Terra win? Honestly, I can't give you a concrete answer right now. And that's not a dodge. No benchmark data, no verified pricing, no model card exists in any source document. And if OpenAI publishes verified specs for Terra, this changes, but right now picking Terra over Spark is a bet on brand recognition, not on data. Muse Spark 1.1 wins on basically everything you can actually measure. It's 22nd out of 190 on the Artificial Analysis Intelligence Index, 8 out of 40 on Val's reasoning accuracy, 122 talks output speed. Confirmed pricing at $1.25 input and $4.25 output per million tokens, and an MCP Atlas score of 88.1 that makes it a really strong pick for agentic workflow specifically. Going in, I expected a close fight with gaps on both sides. What I actually got was one model with verified data across every dimension and one with none. So here's the decision rule. If you need verified pricing, confirmed reasoning scores, and fast token throughput for agentic work, today, Muse Spark 1.1 is the only one of these two you can actually evaluate right now. And if you're committed to OpenAI's ecosystem and willing to wait for Terra specs to go public, that's a reasonable bet. Just know you're going in blind for now.